Hello guys, welcome to the channel. This is Baby Roll. In today's video I want to talk about the upcoming balance patch on 19 March and also the new weapons that coming for 27 February, and we will be discussing Ranger with all changes, buffs and nerfs, what's the intention behind them, how they will affect our builds, everything in detail. Let's go about the notes in general and then see how the whole thing works together. So there is some changes with specific intentions in how builds work in general. Let's go about the simple and clear-cut stuff about the balance patch first, and then we'll be talking about the weapons. So you would see here that Hammer got buffed in general and also became more snappy in how it works, like reducing the cast time of this skill by 0.2 seconds, and also the unleashed version of it, that's skill 3 of the hammer, both of them, and skill 4 is also increase the bar coefficient in World vs. World and PvP, and skill 5 increase the radius of its effect and granting more boons in the unleashed version. And also skill 2, like we said here, is increased in power coefficient in both PvE and World vs. World. The intention of this, as Arianet have shared in the stream, is to make the gap between the unleashed form of the weapon and the leashed one is basically a bit smaller, so you would access the utility side of the weapon more without really harming your DPS, like the immobilize from skill 4 and stuff like that, or the barrier, the CC. Like, you don't lose too much if you simply applying your skills outside of unleash form, because you need what it can give you to make the weapon more streamlined, I guess you can say. And also that's to make Hammer a bit stronger in a way. The buffs would help the overall DPS comparing to the upcoming Mace and something like that, so the Hammer wouldn't simply fall behind completely. They still want to adjust the DPS for both weapons in a way. However, if you running a full melee build, you can use both of them, so it's not really that big of a deal comparing to a Mace or something like that. So that's the changes for the hammer in general. There is another untamed change, which is unnatural traversal. It now will grant quickness instead of giving might, and also will increase the amount of vulnerability it will apply. So this skill is a teleport skill to the enemy. Arenet have added to it a casting time, so you can't simply teleport to the enemy mid-cast. You would be delivering the hit, and once you land there, the hit would land, it become undodgeable. This is a very natural thing to teleporting skill in most classes, however for some reason in Ranger it's not. So instead of adjusting the DPS of skills that can be really hard hitting, if you're very quick with it, you can land your own hit, you can land your bit hit. So Arenet have added a cast time to it. That obviously made it fall out of favor completely for most Ranger, if not everyone. Because you would cast it, you would teleport there, people would dodge, and you would have to wait the dodge, so it's basically just a gap closer with no damage tied to it. So Arenet have added the quickness to make it more fluid, trying to bring it closer to what it used to, without the might, but with vulnerability, I guess. So we might see it being used more, or we might not. We will see, I guess, in how people would favor to play it. Now after that, let's talk about the changes to Druid and survivability in general for Ranger. So Arenet have a clear intention of bringing the survivability of conditioned Druid down, and also adjusting how every Ranger bruiser build will work. It's not just about conditioned Druid. So let me explain. They have specific nerfs and changes, and also what could say buffs in general, also to adjust those both concepts. For conditioned Druid, it is almost straight nerfs. So what are the changes? Healing Spring, which is the biggest change, got reduced the duration of it from 10 seconds to 5 seconds, and the interval now will be on 1 second, not 2, but will cleanse only 1 condition, not 2. So the total time of condition cleansed is 5 condition over 5 seconds, and the Healing Spring will end. It used to be 10 condition over 10 seconds, but it happened every 2 seconds, not 1, and then the Healing Spring will end. So the Healing Spring will lost half of its cleansing, half of its duration. Hopefully it will keep the same healing, and hopefully the same amount of regeneration, even in the half time because they didn't say anything about that. And the other nerf to this form of survivability is Glyph of the Stars. Glyph of the Stars got its cooldown increased from 48 seconds to 60 in World vs. World and PvP, and it now cleans one condition every balls, not two, and the balls will revive for 8% instead of 12 in World vs. World. But in PvP, I guess it's keeping the same high revival rate. So that's a nerf to two forms of cleansing in general and survivability, but there is other changes that will make you see the form of cleansing and also survivability in general for bruiser build. So Refined Toxin got removed completely and replaced with a trait will be called Survival Instinct, gaining increased outgoing strike damage and reduce the incoming strike damage. By how much we don't know yet, but basically if your health is above 50%, you will do more power damage, strike damage. And if your health below 50%, you will get less power damage applied to you. And that trait replaced Refined Toxin. Empathic Bond will be replacing Shared Anguish, so we can conclude from this that Shared Anguish got removed completely, so no more stability on swiping bits or changing from a bit to another. And now it will work on changing bit from other to cleanse condition. And there is a new trait added to replace the empty place that Empathic Bond got removed from, and it's called Carnivore. We're not very sure that Carnivore will come with this name, but that's how the trait is right now, and this trait will give you life steal every time you CC the enemy or your bit CC the enemy. So if your bit do a lunge, a daze like Turtle for example, or a Boga Ball, or you use like Hammer 3, Short Bow 5, something like that, you will be stealing health. How much? We don't know. I guess it will be something around the 500 or something a little bit more, maybe a bit higher than that, so it can really push you into this idea of applying a lot of damage fast. Grace of the Land is a trait for Druid now will not apply Alacrity. We are actually back to applying Might, which is quite worthless, but however I get it. Arenit is trying to remove most, if not all. I hope they eventually remove all Alacrity from World vs. World, because it's a crucial part of competitive gameplay in general is the cooldown. It is the limitation to the build, and if you mess with that too much, whether this time by trades, this time with a boons, this time with anything, it become it's non-stable form of gameplay. You don't have a clear cut of how your enemy's weaknesses will appear. So I don't really mind even the removal of Alacrity completely from the game mode, if you ask me, but I hope Arenit will become consistent about it, because it still have other sources, and also only got removed from like Ranger and Elementalist in this batch note. We can keep quickness obviously, even so it makes the game very fast and people can die in mere seconds sometimes, but we have also slow and it became natural part of the game, so fine. But Alacrity play with the cooldown, I don't really enjoy it and I don't mind it. We don't have to remove it, but I don't mind if it got removed. At least we need consistency as we brought this trait to its knees like that. Now Natural Balance, the trait that Arenit doesn't really know what to do with right now, got changed. This trait no longer will reduce incoming strike damage, so I guess it will still increase your condition damage and condition duration, but will also grant boon duration, so that's a bit weird. That is all the notes. Let's discuss in the game how everything they will affect for us. So let's go about the traits first. Wilderness Survival is the trait line that got some changes, and basically this trait, Refined Toxin, got removed completely, and they add Survival Instinct instead of it. And Survival Instinct, as we explained, will increase your damage as long as your health above 50% power damage, strike damage only, and also will reduce the incoming strike damage to you if your health lower than 50%. Shared Anguish, stability on bit swipe inside combat, like that, got removed completely. So for my World vs. World Druid, I guess we're back to no stability form of play. And it got replaced by this one, Empathic Bond. Empathic Bond will cleanse two conditions when you use a beast ability like this, Iboga Ball, but now it will not work like that. It will be here, it will cleanse a condition, so I guess the two normally, but on bit swipe. It have a cooldown of 20 seconds, so if you are running something like Beast Mastery, I guess, when bit recharge cooldown will be lower. It will be every other one, or you have to wait, or hopefully they would remove the cooldown or the ICD from it. It will not have 20-second cooldown, it will simply have no cooldown, and every time you swap bits it will work. I hope it will work like that. It will cleanse to condition. In my build, this probably will be our choice for increasing access to condition removal, since we're gonna be losing a lot in the common batch, and I will be explaining how everything works in a moment. So this one will be here, and I guess we will take the same thing. We will take empathic bond now with access to more condition cleanse. And in this tier, we have, instead of empathic bond, we have the trait carnivore, which basically you steal health from your enemy every time you or your bit disable the enemy. Daze, stun, knockdown, launch, anything like that. And obviously we will not be taking this trait, we will be running wellness knowledge for condition cleansing as usual. So what else changed? Like I said, they're trying to tone down the survivability or against condition from the condition druid, and also the adjusting every bruiser build that would use hammer or something like that. And for that, they also looking into this trait, evasive priority. They say they want to nerf it, but they want to see how this balance batch will change the survivability first, and then they might either leave it as it is, or they might actually change this trait or nerf it. So they are not even looking at what they did as to be enough. However, this is another trait line different than wellness survival. So they're also trying to push wellness survival in general as a choice for survivability over the other one. So people would take this one for more damage, like you would run survival instinct, you would run carnivore, something like that. Or if you want the cleansing, you would run survival skills with wellness knowledge. You would even go with shared, not shared anguish now, empathic bond in this line, instead of running nature magic, for example. Now there is two changes that meant to affect both styles, condition and power druid, which is the nerf of healing spring and also the nerf for glyph of the stars. So what happened? Healing spring, as we explained, lost half of its duration, half of its amount of condition cleanse. The condition cleanse will happen faster, so it's every 1 second, not 2 seconds, but only one condition cleanse for a total of 5 over 5 second period. So you will get the water field for 5 seconds only to use any combo. If you want an extra healing, you would get the condition cleanse as long as you stand in it, you or allies. Hopefully you will get the same amount of healing and the same amount of regeneration. Let's hope so. Which means you can have a very long regeneration uptime for both BV or Wood vs Wood or whatever. Healing Spring have its downside. It's on a 24-second cooldown, and it will give you one of the lowest amount of healing for skills that Ranger have in general, like did you see Troll England, for example, or We Heal as One, something like that. And it will create this water field under you once it actually work, and you can combo any something inside, like the Staff 3 or Celestial Avatar 3, the Hammer 5, or leaves from sword, whatever, so you could heal more. If you can use every combo in it, you would heal still a bit less, I guess, from Troll England, or around the same time. If you count the regeneration, it is more, obviously, it's much more. But regeneration is boon, it can be removed or corrupted, and also it is quite impossible and unpractical to use every combo just for the water to heal more. You would use, obviously, a lot if you have a full melee build or something, but not every skill will be just ready to you while you're still inside it and the enemy is not moving, is standing there, so you can keep hitting them. So it's unrealistic to say we could heal this much from it. It is better in PvP, I guess, to utilize it to its maximum form than in World vs World, but it's not that easy. It allowed you to create this what I call a safe zone. Like for example, for me, I would use Hunker Down for Turtle, Stubborn Projectile, gaining protection to also heal me from the trait Rugged Growth, this one, while gaining my cleanses and stuff. The problem is that it made it quite powerful in Arena. It's thought that it is a 10-second water field that can keep cleanse you like that, and you can utilize it for more healing. Also, in my opinion, it was too strong when you combo it with Glyph of the Stars, because this also will cleanse 2 condition every balls for a total of 12, I guess. And that's, both of them was too much. This would hurt a condition build, because you wouldn't use Entangle, you have limited sources of healing, and depending on what weapon you run, you would not utilize the water field too much, but I guess you still can. So if you run both of them, you have increased amount of survivability, but you lose a lot of damage and control. But for a bruiser build, like if using hammer and you can immobilize through the hammer and burst through it, a single immob from this can be followed with something like hammer 5 for a knockdown and then immediately burst. You can have a huge amount of survivability without sacrificing much damage, while even access stability, because what other choices you would have? Strength of the back, but you can still gain might like from Warhorn or whatever, so it didn't really mean this much to actually run Glyph of the Stars. It was good to have the extra survivability instead of the extra form of damage or boons. But it was a bit too powerful. They nerfed not one, they nerfed both, and this nerf is very effective against Druid, but can be arguably too much against other rangers. So if you're not playing Druid, you only have Healing Spring. And if you're playing something like Soulbeast, obviously Burst Stance is, in my opinion, the better choice. If you combo it with something like the leader of the pack, it's now can have 6 seconds, will remove each second 2 condition and heal you for them. That's mean total of 12 condition cleanse. That's more than Healing Spring, and you don't have to stick inside it while the enemy is hitting you. You can kite and move freely and keep healing more and more and more using this skill. And it's almost a moment or few seconds of immunity because it cleanses 2 every second. There is not enough burst to kill you with this skill if you're using only condition. So unless you're running a full melee build or something like that in PvP, it was a normal choice to go with burst stance. And what annoyed me more is on stream they said it will cleanse 5 condition for 5 seconds and it's still too much. And obviously it's not too much. There is so many skills that can remove more and do better than that, instead of comparing the lowest healing skill for ranger. So I get it was too strong, especially with some builds when you run the Glyph of the Stars, but it wasn't that strong to begin with on its own. It is quite limiting to use, especially it's a condition cleanse build, would sometimes mean you would sacrifice a lot of the healing part, like for a druid, just to get the cleanse from it. So I guess it is what it is now. So what does that mean for us? First, I want you to watch a video I made explaining how the healing trap work exactly. In case you didn't know that, I had a guide for it. I will leave it in the description on the cards. So I would really urge you to watch it. But how would that affect our build? My build will probably still look exactly the same, like this form. Because instead of Shared Anguish now, we will get Empathic Bond to get 2 condition cleanses extra, which means with 5 from this, we are now up to 7. So it's not 10 yet, but we are up to 7. And we can control exactly how it happened. Because even when you are CC'd, when you don't have the trap ready or something like that, you can still swipe your bit to cleanse condition, which is quite good. So we can still count on some of the lost condition cleanse for the new. And we still have awareness knowledge to cleanse more condition. I guess I will have to get the new feeling of the build, because against power players, for example, you wouldn't be able to stand in this for extended period of time. It's not like you were able to gain the 10 seconds to begin with, but against condition players, especially in 1vx, like 1v2 or something like that, you can stand in it for this long, and sometimes you can even do few tricks and use 2 traps. So as you see, these traps, because it didn't trigger, I didn't have damaging condition on me or lower health than 100%. After using it, it's still there, while I can still cast it again. So let's say a player hit me with bleed or burn, I can simply walk inside it, it will trigger, and then I can use it again. The earlier one will not disappear, as you saw here, because it's already active. If you use a trap, you remove the older one as long as it's not active. But if you do that, that means you have 2 traps at the same time cleansing you on their own interval, which can create a very huge amount of survivability. Using something like turtle and stuff like that, you can tank people and start cleaving them, applying slow and daze, so even stopping them more and helping your own survivability more. So there was some scenarios when it can be very strong to use, and now they are a little bit less, clearly. So I guess we'd have to be a little bit faster on our foot just to survive in a way. And we are back to the old days of not having stability because Shared Anguish have been removed. So you can still count on 2 stun breaks, but no stability to secure yourself. You can't secure yourself even for a finish or something like that on a build like the one I'm running here. Besides that, we can change the form of how we play if we didn't feel the survivability is enough. Not spamming Sharpened Stone, but saving it for condition cleanse and be more careful, Also, we can use Glyph Equality to condition cleanse if needed. Inside City Avatar, it will cleanse two conditions. I have to admit, I am a bit tempted to run Troll Engwent now for simply way more healing, but I don't think the style I'm playing can really replace Healing Spring yet. It's still quite good to play with, especially that you need to be stationary a lot with Druid now, not like the old times when we had Ancient Seed. Casting this skill and sticking next to the enemy, staying inside the bubble sometime to avoid an enemy that can cast projectile on you, so having a field under you to cleanse condition once they happen, not simply casting every skill when it needed, is still good to have. So I don't think I will go for Troll Engwent yet. This skill is not yet that weak, but I am tempted. And I'm even tempted a little bit to go with Quickening Zephyr, for example, for more cleansing, access to quickness, to make myself faster, like we said. But I guess I will be keeping the build as it is in general. Simply, Shared Anguish will be replaced with Empathic Bond in the same area, in the same button here. Now let's talk about Mace Changes. So, Nature Strings is the effect that you can get from Mace skills. When you're up to 6 stacks, you'd have this effect Force of Nature. When you grow larger, you would have increased 25% damage for your power damage and 25% more healing to allies, not yourself. Now this effect, Natural Strength, is only gonna be, or you're only gonna need 5 stacks instead of 6, and the duration of the effect on you, or it will just be removed and you'd have to have it again, will be 25 seconds. It used to be 15 only. So it will last now for 25. And also the tab out effect, when you can't get this, after you grow larger, and the effect of this Force of Nature, when you grow larger, go away, you had 15-second cooldown when you can't get the effect of Nature Strength. Right now, this tab out effect will be only 10 seconds, so you'll be able to get it a bit easier depending on your rotation, and also you will be able to stay in it or get the Force of Nature effect more. The damage got reduced from Force of Nature for 15 instead of 25 only in World vs. World and PvP, which I guess it makes sense. It was a bit too strong in the beta in my opinion. So that means in PvE it's not really nerfed. The only nerf that come with it is actually that the last skill, skill 5 in the weapon, got its bar coefficient reduced a bit, and also in PvP and World vs. World got the days duration reduced. So this is the only skill that lost some of its damage, but every other skill is the same, which means Mace would have arguably the same damage or better. They said it will be around the same damage that we had in the last beta, which means I probably will go for it instead of Hammer, at least just to enjoy the new weapon. So I will be comparing them and why my power build for PvE will probably use Maces. But other than that, the radius of the skill 3, the protection radius, is increased from 240 to 360, so you don't really have to be standing on your allies to simply apply it. And also it will give a healing over time effect to your bit, so we'd have something to work with the bit in this build, so we'll make our bit even more tanky like that, and we can give the bit protection if you are in solo play. And this effect will be less if you're playing Soulbeast, because it will be going to you, you'll be healing yourself. Cecil Guard, which is skill 4, will have the cast time reduced from 0.5 seconds to 0.34 seconds. Rampant Growth, which is the Mace Unleashed Ambush skill for the Untamed. This skill now will heal allies when cast, so it helps the heal Untamed build a little bit more, which makes sense. But I think it will keep the Immobilize with this cascading effect, so it's a really interesting skill and can hit very hard if they kept it as it is. And it will, they fix the bug to interacting with Let Loose, as we already explained in the beta video when we had this bug in it, that it didn't trigger the trait itself. Let's look at the Mace skills in the game and explain how to work on them. So the first auto attack chains, it will give vigor and put cripple in the enemy. The first one, the up note, is actually Rampant Growth, which is unleash ambush skill. It both immobilize on the enemy and now will do healing to allies too. The skill 2 will give an effect, a delayed effect that would do damage under your feet and also do healing and give regeneration. The third skill will do a stun to the enemy and give protection to allies while doing damage. For the offhand one, you would have Cecil Guard, which hit everyone around you up to 5 targets, giving you stability on demand and giving you barrier, and if it actually hit an enemy it will give an extra barrier. Also, it will cleanse a condition on every hit to the enemy happen. The last one would do multiple hit strike on the ground, giving you 2 stacks of natural strength. Unlike any other skill giving you 1, this one will give you 2, and it will do days in the last slam. So the way it works, you can through the auto attack, as you can see here, to gain nature strength effect, and what you can get up to like 5. The auto attack itself will not trigger the nature force, and once you use any other skills it will happen. Nature force will reset all the Mace skills, so you can spam your damage immediately, will increase your damage by 25% and your healing to others by 25%. That was nerfed in World vs. Hood and PvP, the damage to 15 only, but in PvE it will stay the same. So too many skills, too many hits, you can gain the boon again, so you would apply the protection again, you would apply the regeneration again if you want. Even Cecil Guard, the stability and the condition cleanse, which make it a full of utility. So in my untamed, power untamed for PvE, I used to run for the old build Hammer. If we compare Hammer to this, you can still have the immobilize, you have still access to cripple, you can have access to vigor, protection, regeneration, stability, a barrier, and condition cleanse through this weapon, with 2 CC skills through the daze and through the stun. While on Hammer, first you would have to unleash and leash yourself, either switching between your bit and yourself to gain this. And inside the unleash form, if you want to have the highest DPS, you don't have any CCs, and also mean you cannot trigger the traits that give you a quickness or stability from the CC itself or something like that. You would have to use the leashed form, which mean you can get still 2 CC skills with access to barrier from this one, also barrier from this one, protection and immobilize with other conditions from this one. So you would have kind of the same thing, but you would lose on damage. You don't have the force of nature effect when you can grow. You don't have the ability to spam those skills again because they actually reset of cooldown, and the only way to access stability from it is either the unleash ambush skill from the hammer or the trait itself, which mean also triggering the CC on it. This idea of going in and out of it, you don't have the healing for skill 2 for example, or the healing to your bit. I think Mace is way more fun and way more simpler. You don't need even to think whether you're inside or out. It's a new tool, so I guess I will be using it anyway, and I will be updating my build once it's actually out and I actually test the number where I go for Mace or not. Now, another thing we discussed about the Mace. So they wanted to make access force of nature when you get nature strings is easier. However, it is much easier now if you run a main hand or if you run both weapons, but it didn't really change anything if you're running only the offhand. They now want 5 stacks. If you use offhand Mace and not use main hand, this one will give you 1 stack, this one will give you 2. And once it come off cooldown, which this one will come faster obviously than this, it will only give you another 1 stack for a total of 4, not 5. So you would have to still wait for a total cooldown reset to both weapon skills. Before it was 6, not 5, you would get 1, 2, 1, 2. So again, it was the same accessibility level through the stacks. However, that changed through the main hand only, since we can get it on auto attack, so a couple of chains or whatever, you would get it and simply trigger it with other skills. Even if you use only those 2, they would give you 2 stacks, and you would need only 2 times of using the auto attack or 1 reset of them to happen again. So you are not as limited as the offhand. But besides that, obviously we get the effects for longer time, so we're not really pushing ourselves to get the effect or using ambidexterity to lower the mace skill recharge. It actually reduces the mace skills, as you can see on it: torch, dagger, or mace. And now we know why they actually give us this reduction to mace skill, because the trait carnivore, for example, can be utilized with a power build, so they want you to consider this straight line with the mace, I guess. Whether you go for survival instinct, the new one, or whether you go for ambidexterity, it's up to you. But like I said, we still get the effect for longer time, we still have tab out for shorter time, so it is quite interesting to play with it nonetheless. And a very easy access to many boons like protection or whatever. So that's it for the video. Tell me what do you think in the comment, or if anything I missed, share it with the group. But to summarize, our Druid build for roaming is the one that got hit the hardest. We lost the access to stability, which was a very powerful thing in the hand of a very good player, and We lost a lot of survivability through Healing Spring. I guess we will get Empathic Bond here so we can compensate for some of the condition cleanse loss, but the rest of the build is exactly the same. Nothing changed, and nothing changed from the balance perspective. It's all working exactly the same. Hammer got a little bit buffed, Miss a little bit better, and Unnatural Traversal got changed to help a player who want to play this fast kill kinda untamed for competitive modes. And also the Unleash Ambush skill for any weapon now does not auto attack, so you would have to push it by yourself, which is a good thing, I guess, especially for competitive play. And Alacrity is being pushed out of the World vs. World. Let's hope they keep consistent with it. That's it for the video, and I'll be seeing you next time. Peace.